Chelsea, what are your thoughts? Like, do you have a favorite spot in a 12-team
Yeah,
league?
I was just gonna say my favorite spot is to be in one.
Right here.
We're looking at a 12-team PPR league, probably the most popular league that's out there right now. Maybe 10 teams, just a slightly more popular, but 12 teams really getting there. 12-team PPR leagues. We wanted to ask and get the situation going. What is the best spot in a 12-team PPR league? Johnny, Chelsea, our league of record is actually a 12-team standard league, so we'll have some experience as far as drafting in 12-team and what we think as far as our are concerned. But I wanted to talk to you guys about this. Johnny, what is the best spot in your mind, especially this year, for a 12-team PPR league?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because typically I am a fan of kind of the ender picks. I generally like those ones. I like grabbing my two guys, and I feel like I can get good value there. However, when it comes to this year, Travis, I'm really digging the 4 and 5 picks, the middle round picks, especially just with this draft and how it's like kind of panning out. It just feels like if you're in that middle section, you don't have to reach for guys. You can kind of assess the situation, assess your team, and really do what's best for your team and draft the best for your team. Because if you're at the ends, I feel like you're having to reach each time because there you have so much
especially
time.
on that second guy. Like, you get the guy that you like, but maybe like, I'm 24 picks away. I've got to grab my guy.
And then what ends up, I was reading this article that someone was writing about their opinion on where they like going, and it was I never really thought about it before, but it is true. What ends up happening is oftentimes because there's such a swing, by the time the guys get to you, you don't really like the guys that fell to you. So now you're reaching even more to that next section of guys, or you're saying to yourself, oh, I have to take this guy because he is the best available, even though I'm not a big fan of him or whatever. So I much prefer that 4 and 5 area. And the last thing I'll say, the reason why I like it is because it helps me predict a little bit. Like, I can much more predict 6 to 8 moves than I can 12 to 24 moves.
Yeah,
So I can much
I like that.
Yeah, I can much more navigate and say, hey, I might this group of players should be available based on these 4 teams and what they need and what they might draft or what they like to draft, so I can go here. That's just kind of what I like to do.
Chelsea, what are your thoughts? Like, do you have a favorite spot in a 12-team league?
Yeah, I was just gonna say my favorite spot is to be in one. And all
that
is
was good.
from there. No, I mean, I've had some great experiences and loved when I was in the 3rd overall spot and Saquon Barkley came to me that year. It kind of took the pressure off of getting like the best running back or feeling like I had I had my one spot, and if I screwed up and didn't get the number 1 guy who ended up the number 1 guy over the season, it's just sort of a no-win scenario at the number 1 spot, I think, because you're never going to get that return on value. It's just such a dice roll. So I don't know. I really like that 3rd spot. You're going to get the best of the top 3 or one of the, top 3 best. That's really good.
Yeah, and the pressure's off.
Yeah, pressure's totally off. But this year I'm totally eyeing the backside of the draft because I like having those picks sort of more stacked back to back. 12th spot is too much pressure. I will say that. Like, just having 2 picks right after another, I hate that. I don't know. I'm
See,
sort of
I
a
would
you
actually
can't go
think
wrong, just get your shit together type of drafter.
Yeah. I typically love the ends because I feel like you have an extended clock, so you just have to
I
make
thought you were
2
talking
picks.
about burnt ends from a brisket. I was like,
dude,
I'm down for some.
Yeah. Or a prime rib.
I thought that's where you're gonna go for a second. Yeah,
for sure, dude.
Yeah,
for sure. I'm glad you brought. God, you can't think about prime rib or brisket in the morning, but I am. I would say this year I was looking at it, and I'm going to go a PPR league. That's what we're talking about here. I'm going to go with the 6th spot, and I think that this allows you to get a pick usually of the top wide receivers or potentially a running back if one of those running backs fall. So if you get a top 5 guy to fall because somebody reached for a wide receiver, you're sitting there at the 6th getting the best like Chelsea said, you get a little bit of the best of the running backs, or maybe you get the best wide receiver. And in a PPR league, you can't really go long there. And I think the last thing I really want to say here is when you're in the middle of these drafts, especially as Johnny alluded to, when you get bigger drafts, 12 team, 14 teams, and you're in the middle, yes, you get those spots where you can see, but more importantly, Johnny, you get to bob and weave with positional runs.
Yeah.
So runs will start happening at the quarterback or running back position, and you can either be a part of that or see that it's happening and zig when everybody's zagging. And I think that's a huge advantage to have when you're in the middle of your draft. So for me this year, I think 12-team PPR league, give me the 6th spot.
Yeah, that's a great. I like what you said there.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Whisperers podcast. You can hear more from John and Travis on Google Play, SoundCloud, and iTunes. You can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at TF Whisperers.